Hey guys, it's Chris at Highline Guitars, and it's time for a Luthier's Quick Tip. If you like building or repairing guitars, join the club by tapping the subscribe button down below. And together, we can take your luthier skills to a whole new level. In this week's Quick Tips for Luthiers, I'm going to be talking about pricing, how I price my finished electric guitars, and how you can also apply that to pricing luthier services that you may want to offer. Both are fairly similar in how I would approach it. So I'm just going to kind of cover it in general. And what this week's tip is that the devil is in the details. Or perhaps more accurately, the angel is in understanding the details. The way I determine the price of my guitars and any luthier services I would offer if I offered them is I combine two different numbers to arrive at that price. The first number is the cost of the parts, materials, and shipping. The second number is my labor costs. If you look at the guitars that I have for sale on Reverb, you'll see that they all have a fairly similar price. And if you were to ask me to build you a custom guitar, that price is going to be quite a bit higher. And the reason for that is the spec builds that I put for sale on Reverb are basically the same one or two different body styles and the same necks. So I've developed an efficient way to make those guitars quickly and affordably. So that's reflected in the price. Custom guitars, however, every one is going to be different. And since I use a CNC machine to build my guitars, to cut the bodies and make the necks and fretboards, every one of those parts has to be created from fresh G code written specifically for that custom guitar. So the price of that guitar is going to reflect the additional time it takes to create those files. The first number I mentioned is what I like to call the deposit price, and that's what you would ask a customer to put down up front before you even start a guitar build. And the way you calculate that is you add up the total cost of all your parts, your materials, and shipping. Now with regards to parts and materials, I would recommend you create a spreadsheet where you list out all the different parts and materials that go into making a guitar, and don't leave out anything. I mean, even the smallest inconsequential part needs to be on that list. I'm talking about like those little screws for the truss rod cover, or even the wire between your pots and switches. Don't leave anything out. And then also make sure you include shipping. So anytime you order parts and materials and have them shipped to you, you've got to include that shipping cost into that deposit price. Anything that you forget is going to be a hit on your profit margin. Now, another good use of having a spreadsheet like that is, not only can you use it to help you to estimate the cost of the deposit for your customer to pay, but it's also a great way to remind you of what parts you need to order so that you don't leave something out. As you know, customers can get really irate when a guitar project takes longer than expected, and oftentimes that happens because the luthier forgot to order an essential part to finish the guitar. So with that list, you can easily make sure that you remember everything. Now, once you have that parts and materials cost added up, the next price is the shipping costs. And to do that, of course, you need to know the weights of the guitar, the case or gig bag it's going to be shipped in, any other materials or items that you're going to include with it, freebies like t-shirts and guitar straps and picks and things like that. And the weight of the packing material, then the dimensions and weight of the box that it's going to be shipped in. And once you have all that information, you can then select the carrier that you intend to use, whether it's a local postal service or a parcel shipping company. And they typically will have a feature on their website where you can add in all that information as well as the zip code of where it's going to be shipped, and you get an idea of what it's going to cost to ship it wherever it's going to go. If you're doing spec guitars and selling them on places like reverb.com or eBay or Etsy, and you're planning to offer free shipping, which is advisable if you want to get customers, you're just going to have kind of a rough idea of what that shipping cost is so that you can add it into that deposit price. And once you have that, even even though you're giving your customers free shipping, you still have to include that price. You can't let everything go out the door for free or you're just never going to make any money. So once you have that, the parts and materials price and your shipping price, then you'll have the whole deposit price set and ready to go. Next, you have to come up with your labor costs. That's the second number. And calculating labor costs is pretty simple. It's just a matter of adding up the total hours it took you to build the guitar and multiplying that by whatever hourly rate you want to charge. But here's where you've got to be somewhat creative. You have to remember when you're first starting out, it's probably going to take you quite a bit longer to build a guitar than somebody who's got 20 or 30 years of experience. As a result, that luthier with 20 to 30 years of experience, they may charge a fairly high hourly rate, but still come in at a lower price than what you'll charge with your number of hours and the hourly rate you selected. So what you have to do is you have to look for ways to bring down your hourly rate to be competitive with other guitar builders whom you're competing with. Because if it takes you 300 hours to make a Stratocaster knockoff, but it takes another luthier 100 hours, why is anyone going to want to buy your guitar when the other luthier is probably going to be quite a bit cheaper? So that labor cost is where you can look at opportunities to bring your price to be more in line with what customers expect to pay. The problem is, when you start to look at the hourly rate, it can get really depressing. You can find yourself charging $5 and $6 an hour for a guitar. But the key here is you've got to get faster and more efficient at building guitars. And then you can start looking at increasing your hourly rate, which will make more sense and ultimately make you feel a lot better about what it is you're doing. So once you've got that labor number, and once you've got that deposit price number, you can put those two together, and that's the overall price of your guitar, or what you should be charging. Now, another thing to consider that's really important here is you're going to want to check your prices against what your competition is charging, but you've got to be really careful here because you have to know who your competition is. If you look at prices being charged by companies like Harley Benton or Rondo, you're just not going to be able to compete. There's just no way. Unless your goal as a business is to buy a company in a country that charges really low labor costs, you're just not going to be able to compete with them. And you should, because what you are trying to do is you're trying to be a luthier who offers a higher quality, better instrument. So if a customer comes to you and says, why would I spend $2,000 for your Telecaster knockoff when I can buy the Harley Benton Telecaster knockoff for $100? What you need to tell them is, go for it. Knock yourself out. Buy that guitar, play it until it's broken and won't hold a tune anymore, and then contact me when you're ready to purchase a really high-end, high-quality instrument that's the guitar of your dreams. Because there's a difference, and you have to make your customers totally aware of what you are compared to what they are, because you're not going to be competing. So don't even try to bring your prices down to be in line with what those companies charge. You should be looking at other luthiers who are doing much the same as what you're doing. But don't let ego get in the way, and don't think that you can charge $35 an hour to build a guitar when it takes you 300-400 hours to build a guitar. It's just not the right way to go. So I hope this video explains some things. In future videos, I'm going to talk a little bit more about the deposit price and some ways that you can use strategies to benefit yourself as well as your customers and bring more business in, and ways to look at refunds and things like that. There's a number of different topics that I'll cover, but hopefully altogether this will all make sense. And in the meantime, if you have questions or comments, post them down below. I'll do my best to answer them, or maybe someone else in the community can jump in and throw an answer their way. At any rate, I hope I'll see you in the next episode. So take care. We'll see you soon.